There's a ton of ways to fry tofu, and they all have their pros and cons. I usually go for the classic fried chicken style, but on nearly every one of my vegan fried chicken videos, people ask if they can air fry or bake it so they can use less oil. And to be honest, I haven't really tried air frying or baking those recipes much, so let's run some tests and see if air frying or baking can hold a candle to the deep fried version. We're also going to try out a method at the end, which I was surprised to say might be my favorite. Now, fried tofu often means cubing it up and dredging it in something like soy sauce and some seasoned cornstarch, and then shallow frying in some oil. And this is a quick and easy way to fry up some great tasting tofu, but today we're going to go for more of a fried chicken style sort of thing. And typically in the US, chicken is fried one of two ways, either with just a seasoned flour and buttermilk mixture, or oftentimes they will also be coated in panko or some kind of breadcrumb at the end. We're going to be doing both today, as air frying and baking really benefit from a panko style breading. But the seasoned flour and vegan buttermilk mixture will be the same for all the tests. And for the seasoned flour, let's get half a cup of flour and half a cup of cornstarch, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, a heaping teaspoon of garlic powder, onion powder, and smoked paprika, a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne, an 1/8 teaspoon of white pepper, and then 1 teaspoon each of black pepper and salt. I also made a version with 1 tablespoon of nooch too, so throw that in if you wanna. Next, for the vegan buttermilk batter, let's get 1 cup of unsweetened plant milk. I like this stuff by Ripple, incidentally, and then a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, 1 tablespoon of hot sauce, and then a 1/4 cup of flour or the seasoned flour to help thicken it up. Also, a little tip before you fry up a bunch of vegan chicken, do a test nugget or 3 to see if the breading and seasoning is where you like it first. Plus, it's nice to snack on some nuggets. Now for the tofu we're going to be using in all the tests, I'm making the tofu fillets for my grilled tofu chicken video. If you didn't see it, check the link in the description to watch it, but we are basically just getting some super firm tofu and carving it up and scoring it into fillets. Now, a lot of folks will just bread and fry the tofu like this, but I like to infuse some more flavor. So next we're going to make a delicious marinade, and the only difference between the marinade from my last video and the one I'm making today is I'm going to be using some of this vegan chicken seasoning from today's sponsor, Fake Meats. And I gotta say, even though the ingredients are simple, I swear they put some vegan magic in there. They've also got a beef and ham seasoning as well, perfect for seitan or TVP or just about anything. These go great with the Plant Basics line of unflavored hearty plant protein. I've used their textured proteins in my recipes like my Mongolian beef recipe, and it worked out perfectly. And the beef seasoning also adds a dark color without additional ingredients, so it would be ideal for something like my Italian beef recipe. You can totally make broth with it too for some soups or gravies. Just add 1 teaspoon of the seasoning to 1 cup of water and you've got instant chicken, beef, or ham stock. But adding the chicken seasoning to the marinade definitely amped it up, so if you're interested, check the link and use my promo code DUDE239 for 15% off any of their plant-basic products until November 6, 2023, and thank you, Fake Meats. Now, the full marinade recipe will be up on my site. In fact, here's the ingredients right now. It's really easy to throw together. You simply just need to whisk and combine all the ingredients. We're going to pour that over our fillets and then let them hang out for at least 30 minutes. Next, we need to grill the fillets, and this is for 2 reasons. First, it's going to infuse more flavor. It's also going to improve the texture of the tofu as it's going to dry out some of the moisture. And second, it's going to help the batter stick. I tried baking and air frying some fillets without grilling them first to dry out the marinade, and the batter did not stick at all, as you can see here. So once our fillets have been grilled, we're going to let them cool down and then we can dredge them. And for the first test, let's do the classic vegan fried chicken style. First, let's coat them in the seasoned flour and then the vegan buttermilk and then back into the flour, making sure to coat thoroughly and shaking off the excess in between, another tip for good breading. To dredge the fillets in panko, I'm going to do the exact same thing, except instead of doing another dunk in the seasoned flour at the end, we're going to coat them in the panko. Next, we're going to get some neutral oil up to 375 degrees Fahrenheit and carefully add our fillets by gently dropping them away from us and fry until golden brown and beautiful. And this should only take a few minutes. Here's the classic fried chicken and here's the panko. And once they look something like that, let them rest on a wire rack, and now let's do a fork test. First, the classic fried chicken. Sounds pretty good. And now the panko. Also not too shabby. And now let's do a bite into it for a crunch test. Also sounds pretty good. Overall, this is a solid way to fry up some tofu or vegan fried chicken. Of course, I had to try them in sandwich form, and they are both quite excellent. Like, if I ordered this at a restaurant and I paid $15 for it, I'd be happy. It's honestly that good. I do think I prefer the classic fried chicken just a little more, but they are both pretty dang good. So obviously the deep fried version is outstanding and we know this, but what are the downsides? Well, dealing with all that oil, of course, which admittedly can be a bit messy. Like, what should I do with my oil when I'm done? Throw it out? No, you can reuse it a few times. Just get a fine mesh strainer and line it with a paper towel, then dump the oil and let it filter out all the debris, and then store it in a jar for later. Easy as punch. Stop wasting oil. So now with that said, can the air fryer or oven get close to a deep fried filet? I don't expect them to be better, but I'm curious how good can it be? So let's test a few things out. First, like I said, you're going to want to bread them in panko or something similar. If you dredge them in just the flour and wet batter, they are not crunchy at all, and it's just not really good in my opinion. It results in a very flat, unsatisfying breading, as you can see on this test nugget I got here. You can also try using something like oyster crackers or your favorite chips, as I did on my filet no fish a while back. Just make sure you grind them up finer than I did here, as I think that also contributed to a loose breading. Another thing you want to do is make sure that the fillets are grilled and then coated in a dry batter first. Like I said earlier, a wet dredge first will result in a soggy and loose-fitting breading. So once our fillets are dredged, let's air fry and bake them. I recommend spraying them with a bit of oil to help them brown. I air fried them at 380 degrees Fahrenheit for about 16 to 20 minutes, flipping halfway through, and in the oven I went with 425 degrees Fahrenheit for about 24 minutes, also flipping halfway through, and spraying them with some more oil when I flip them. The breading in the oven can be a bit delicate, and my first couple of tests resulted in some of it falling off. I found that carefully flipping with my hands was the best way to do it. And as we can see, the air fryer was able to get these browner and in less time, but let's do a fork and crunch test for the baked version. Tastes good, but the breading isn't nearly as crispy as the deep fried. Now let's try the air fried version. That's actually much better, way crispier, but still not as satisfying as the deep fried version. Now don't get me wrong, these aren't bad, they were both good, but just not great. So then I thought, well, what if there's a happy medium? Most folks don't want to deep fry because of the amount of oil and how messy it can be, which is understandable. But as we've seen, air frying and baking just don't hit the way deep frying does. But I thought, what if I just shallow fried a panko breaded filet? This way we get the benefit of deep frying but with way less oil. So I went ahead and did that, and let's do a fork and crunch test.
Ooh. Wow. That's really good. Holy mackerel.
And by golly, I think I might have found the best method when it comes to the crunch and convenience, as you can tell by my response. So if we were rating these on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give the deep fried a 9 out of 10, the air fried a 7 out of 10, and the oven fried a 6 out of 10, with the shallow fried being a 10 out of 10, simply for being the best of both worlds. Side by side, I might like the original fried chicken better, but since the panko breaded one requires way less oil, I think it might win. That being said, every one of them were fantastic thanks to the Plant Basics vegan chicken seasoning I use by Fake Meats. Go ahead and grab it at fakemeats.com. But overall, I'm stoked on trying out all these different methods and hope you found an option that you like. And if you have any tips or tricks, please share them in the comments and check out my grilled tofu chicken video if you want something lighter, and I'll see you all next time.